The Jets trade Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a 6th-round pick this year and then a 2nd and 4th-round pick in 2022.
Now, here's what's interesting about that. You remember all these people saying that Sam Darnold just needs a better situation. He's a good quarterback.
Yep.
Well, I would say a 2nd and a 6th-round draft pick says he's not.
That's right.
Right? Because they traded – didn't the Rams trade 2 first-rounders for
Stafford?
For bum
Stafford?
For loser
Yeah.
Stafford.
And they swapped quarterbacks, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So quarterbacks and gave up 2 first-rounders for Matthew Stafford. And he's
Right.
what, 30 plus?
He's 33, I think.
33.
I think he's 33.
Now you have a quarterback who, look,
33 on the nose.
I'm a big believer that sometimes a quarterback like Sam Darnold could get in the right situation and people would think a lot more of him if he didn't play for a bad organization. But did he not just go from a bad organization to a worse one? As far as where they are?
Well, listen, in my opinion, there's no such thing as worse than an Adam Gase coached organization.
Well, but he's
That's the
with
bottom.
He's with Saleh now.
Well, he
So
wasn't with
it
Saleh. I
wouldn't-
mean, Saleh never coached him. Never coached him. So I don't think it counts.
and
Did
what
he
is
go
it?
to
Is it Rule? Rule is with
Rule? Yeah, Rule.
right. So
Rule, who's new Adam Gase. Like everybody thought everybody thinks he's the next guru. And he's got who's that dude from LSU? Brady. Brady's his offensive coordinator.
Joe Brady.
Everybody loves this Joe Brady. So everybody, a lot of people yesterday are like, Sam Darnold, benefit of the doubt, better situation. But I don't know, man. I will give a sliver of he maybe just got gased. And
right. I'm
maybe
willing to
there's
put more into it than that. I will say this, that if he's anything close to what they thought he would be coming out of college, then you talk about what the Dolphins did. The way Carolina, if he ends up being a player and they got him for a 2nd or 6th round, say if he ends up being their quarterback for 5 years.
Yep.
6 years for a 2nd and a 6th round draft pick.
That'd be a great trade.
Right.
But the time,
I would have. Go ahead, Robbie.
we think highly of these Flyers at the time. Like we also the same thing about Josh Rosen. Only a 2nd-round pick for Josh Rosen. That didn't
Right.
last.
No. But Josh Rosen, his own team, like Sam Darnold's played in the league in a bad situation for a while. Like we hear this all. I can't remember who said it on ESPN, but they say, it was actually Draymond Green. Sorry, when he said, "Yeah, we're so quick to call people bust, but what about the organizations that ruin players?" Can we put Sam Darnold in that category?
I think it's both, though. I think it's one of the. I think yes, that's fair, but I also think that we also give the benefit of the doubt sometimes to high just because of where guys are drafted. So just because a guy was drafted 3,
Maybe he shouldn't have been drafted.
Maybe we just whiffed on that. There was talk that Sam Darnold was going to be the number 1 pick that year, and it was a bit of a shock when Baker became the number 1 pick.
But guess what? That's not his fault.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault. But that's
if ESPN called you right now and said, "We give you $10 million to replace Stephen A."
Of course.
You go, or do you say, no, I'm not as good as Stephen A. Keep paying him.
I don't think Tobin would say that.
That's not what I'm going to say.
Do you take the money and say, we'll figure it out as we go?
Figure it out. No, we figure it out.
Pay me my money, though.
But that being said, if I flamed out terribly and my producer was Adam Gase and we, it shows there's never preps. We never had guests. We're getting smoked every time by Skip Bayless. And then my ESPN decides, hey, your run is over and I have to go to like the Ringer. People are going to look to the Ringer and say, wow, they really, maybe now that he's got a real producer that he's going to be something.
Right.
But
I
just think with him, yeah, he definitely was. He had a bum anchor for a coach, no doubt. He had some
organization,
had some injuries, had some mono, bad organization. But I also think that we take because of where a guy is drafted and think that
he's supposed to have a certain level of production.
Just that, yeah, we think that he's going to tap into something, and that's not necessarily we kind of just went through this with the Isaiah Wilson thing, where we all got giddy because we got a first-round pick for nothing, and it really just turned out, oh no, he really doesn't want to play football, and the Titans were right the whole time. Now, difference here is Titans are a good organization, Jets are a clown show. So there's still some wiggle room there.
I would say, I don't think he's as bad as people think. And I don't think he's ever gotten the opportunity or to see if he sucks. Like you can say Sam Darnold's no good or Sam Darnold's not this. But if you look at that team, the years that he's been there, can you assess the quarterback? I said that about Ryan Tannehill. I could never tell if Ryan Tannehill good or not because the circumstances in which he played under, he was getting killed. So it's happened before.
But I think ultimately
quarterbacks have gone to different,
Yeah, but I do think that ultimately with Ryan, I think that we were probably all pretty spot on. Like anybody who thought that he was a bum, way too harsh, he was fine. And they put him in better circumstances in Tennessee, and they did pretty good. Is he ever do you feel that team's ever going to outduel Mahomes and he's going to be the guy to do it? Probably not, but they're going to be successful.
But here's the issue that I have with people, okay, is that most of your quarterbacks are that. Okay.
I agree with that.
There's the rare case of a Patrick Mahomes or a Russell Wilson, or there's 5 or 6 guys that are that. The other teams who don't have that need a competent, above average quarterback to win a number of different ways. Now, Tennessee does it with running, right? Making plays periodically through their passing game. There's been a lot of teams to win like that. Stop thinking you have to have Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl, because that is not the case. Look at when Peyton Manning won his second Super Bowl. They say, they had Peyton Manning. Get the hell out of here.
Texter writes, I didn't realize that Darnold was only 23. That's crazy.
Right.
It is very young. It is very young. And, I do think the interesting move from this standpoint, because we know that the Panthers sitting in that spot, we were wondering, are they going to make a trade up? Is there anybody that they like in this draft? I think this very much signals that they're probably not. That at most they'll see, hey, we'll see if we strike something here with Sam Darnold, and then if not, we'll punt till next year. And then also, I think it kind of shows you that the Deshaun Watson market is at a complete standstill right now, with everything that's coming out.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday too. Some people saying is Sam Darnold even an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater? Which I like Teddy Bridgewater. I've always liked Teddy Bridgewater. He's I think Teddy Bridgewater is like a level above solid, good quarterback. But I think that you have a guy here who's a bit of a these guys who are quarterback gurus, they like to think that they want to go try and find something special. They probably don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is that special, and so he's going to take a flyer.
Well, he's not. He's never been.
He's never been. He's been very solid his entire career.
And you know what you just explained? You just explained 20 to 25 quarterbacks in the NFL. And this is where.
Leroy, but everybody does the shell game, right? Like it's not.
Right.
I may be saying something that's very broad and covers a lot of quarterbacks, but we can't act like teams don't behave like they're always searching for something better than solid.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that if you're a team and you run a franchise, don't you have to be honest with yourself to take and look at the situation and say, why is this? The easiest thing for a GM or a front office to do is to say this line. If we had the right quarterback, this would all work. Mm-hmm. We got to go out and get the right quarterback. Because what it does is it buys you more time for making terrible choices before that. So when you look at the Jets, they have some talent. They have some talent on defense. They tried to get some talent at the wide receiver position. Okay, but overall, when you see why they failed, Sam Darnold was like 5th on the list.
I agree. No, they stink wholeheartedly all over the place. And especially at the top where you think of, a GM hiring Adam Gase, Adam Gase getting that GM fired, and then eventually the GM that he got hired firing Adam Gase. Like, that's a clown show up top.
Right.
And I think one of the things that we're all happy with right now with the Dolphins is that there is this cohesion up top with Brian Flores and Chris Greer. And so while we can't sit here and say, oh my God, the Dolphins have had so much more success than the Jets over the last 15, 20 years, at least it feels like, okay, finally, all the clown show stuff that was going on with the Dolphins, the Philbin Ireland sabotage that was very much similar to what was going on with the Jets. Right. That's not a thing anymore. It feels like, these guys, it feels like Greer and Flores work hand in hand. Flo goes and covers the Florida Pro Day. Greer goes and covers LSU Pro Day. We meet together, harmonious meeting of the minds, who we take in Pitts or Chase. That's, I think, why everybody's so happy. And that's why when the Dolphins go and trade for Isaiah Wilson, I think that's why everybody's like, oh, Flo will figure it out. Flo will get it. Flo and Greer's approval rating right now, I feel, is through the roof. It's at a very high point. And
what they've done that nobody else has done in a while here is stuck to the plan. And unlike any other regime that's been here, you kind of, even if they don't tell you, you kind of have an idea of where they're headed. And so it feels good to almost understand what that process is and kind of ride the wave with them. You see what I mean? Whereas before, everybody was so secretive and everybody was, just trying to make the move to put them over the top, and you weren't there yet. So I like the fact that between Greer and Flores, they have sat down, they've devised a plan. They have not deviated from that plan, and they haven't made drastic decisions based on where this team is right now. Now, if this was 3 years later and Tua had that a season like he did last year, now you got to make different decisions. But I'm glad to see that they're having patience, not just with Tua, but with everybody in the whole process.
Yeah, I think if anything, it does show, though, that the clock on these guys is very much shortened, because I feel like a guy like Sam Darnold, every excuse under the sun. I feel like 6-7 years ago, they're giving Sam Darnold at least 4 full years and trying to figure it all out. Much like we do with Tannehill getting a lot of years here. Different coordinators, different coaches. I feel like that's more of the case. Now it feels like you get 3 years as a quarterback.
Well, because they have to make that decision.
And they got to make that. They got to make.
Here's what shortened that. Okay. Never before at that position that after your 3rd year, decisions have to be made long-term. Right? You could wait because that contract was usually a lot bigger and a lot longer.
Yep.
And now, after 3 years, you have to make a decision on your quarterback because, one, it usually costs you a lot of money next year, and 2, you don't want to have a lame duck quarterback, or you're going to end up with a situation like Kirk Cousins, who, say what you want about Kirk Cousins, But I'm having a hard time believing you couldn't have given him a contract and structured it so that you wouldn't have to give him 50+ million and you could still get out of that contract after a couple of years.
Right. And now look where they are, though. Like they drafted their guy and they gave him how long did he even make it 2 years? Dwayne Haskins?
No, he got cut before the Week 17 game last year.
Okay. So they had Dwayne Haskins and now they're Ryan Fitzpatrick. We're like, they decided, Kirk Cousins isn't good enough for us,
right?
And look where they are.
See,
they have 40-year-old Kirk Cousins.
There's a situation where you go into a situation and you have to be honest with yourself before you can make a move that would indicate how you feel about a certain situation. Like, guess what? The Washington football team got caught up in whether Kirk Cousins was the guy or not, instead of understanding you don't need Patrick Mahomes. You just need a competent quarterback, which Kirk Cousins was. If they would have given him a 4-year deal back then, he would have been in the same position right now if they wanted to get rid of him and would have paid him less money than they would have if they would have franchised him 2 years. That's bad running of an organization.